Oh hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another stream and another chapter. Another chapter working on that guy there. I know, usually by this time I'm done, right? But we're only about halfway through, it seems like. We'll run the intro, we'll get into it. Alright guys, we're back, and yeah, we're going to continue the build on this guy here, the M2A3 Bradley. Almost finished my coffee. Now I had to do a little bit of painting, and I did do a little bit of stuff off camera, just in preparation for a few things. So let me show you what I've done off camera here. Okay. Off camera, I did install our seat belts for our crew members in the back there. Okay, so remember I started to paint the orange on those things, so I put those in. I glued them in with CA glue. Okay, there's little notches that each one of these straps goes into. My camera's kind of struggling to. Okay, so they go into these little notches and they all fit in. So I used CA glue because they're kind of rubbery and they flip-flop back and forth. But I wanted the CA glue because it's going to hold them really good. And especially for instances like I want to leave it so that I'm choosing not to glue this on if I can. I'm hoping that once all the stuff on top is all done and our side skirts are going on, once all that's on, I'm hoping I'll have the ability to just lift it off of here. So the seat belts are gonna kind of go in the sides there. It's a little dark in there now, isn't it? So what's a little bit challenging is because you want them to droop straight down, you also want them to be on the insides of the seats and not the back. And that is the nice thing about the fact that they're rubber, is that you can kind of get in here and maneuver them and position them into kind of a more realistic kind of droop, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, and pull them out into their respective positions. Did one fall off? No, it's just really tucked in back here. Anyway, you get the idea here. Okay, do you get the idea? I don't know. If the camera will focus, you might be able to see in there and see our seat belts hanging. Okay, just like that. You got to keep the light and the focus on there. It's hard to show you guys. Anyway, that's that. So that's how they droop in there, and that's about it. So I did that. Okay. Other thing I did is a little bit of color callouts on the panels here. So here's where the seat belts are going in. So you just lay them in like that, or you don't even lay them, you glue them straight up, basically, right? After painting them. And then put the hole down. Now last time, of course, I fought with the K1 and K11, especially the K11 that broke on me. You guys had the joy of watching me fight with that. So the next couple of panels, we put on the D9, the Q3, and the E20 on the outside. And but I'm leaving our shovels and axes. We're going to be doing those later. I did paint those up, so those are almost fully painted, but they're not ready yet. And so moving on to the next page, we're going to, did I already install these? Yes, I did. I installed this. I got those panels on here, here, and here, and then I had to take off. So what I did off camera is I noticed color callouts for things like remember I was looking at our hood to see how this is going to go on there. Well, it's apparently supposed to be a brown, the tannish color brown, and so that's what I did, is I painted the underside of that to be a brownish color, instead of the green. I was kind of surprised. I thought maybe I'd have to do green, but apparently it's brown. Same with the up here, the driver's hatch and driver's vision enhancer assembly. This apparently is also, this is supposed to be brown on the inside also. Very strange. They show it here. Okay, they do this. Something I've noticed. They show this, everything that is that particular shade in the rectangle, that's supposed to be that color. So yeah, that tells me this is all supposed to be brown. Why, I don't know, but it is. So let's go back to here, and we're going to continue assembling a few panels on the outside of this little bird. Sorry, I get used to calling things birds when I'm building airplanes. So yeah, we'll just finish off my coffee there. I'm going to change my glasses real quick. And we will start digging parts out to go onto this. So we're still working with our E tree. We need some panels here. Looks like we need E and C. I've got J and D, P. Those don't need none of those. That's B. Okay, here's E. I need E19. E19. I already did E19. What am I talking about? Yes, I did E19. That one's done. I did this guy and this guy. I need C18. What are these two? What is that triangular guy? That's C18. I need C11 and I need E5. E5 is going to go down right in there. E5. Let's find E5. Here's E5. Okay, E5. Anything else? E16. Okay, E16. And I gotta grab my C tree. C. This is C. There, see, I painted my axe or hatchet, whatever, and my shovel. They're all ready to go. So I need C11 and 18 and 2. I need C2. Let's get C2 off of here. C2. I also need J5. Remember J5? We already did that one before. I need C11. Where's 11? 6. Here's 11. And 18. It's right beside it. And is that it? Looks like we got a piece of rubber off of X. I believe X was the same as... No, that's not. Or maybe it is. No. Where is X? X is maybe one of these guys. One of the clear screws. That's T. That's U. That's a U. X, is that photo etch? W, Y, yes it is. Piece of photo etch to go on there. X3. This guy here. Right there, that guy. So we'll deal with him in a minute. Or 5. We'll see how long this takes. And you want J5. I want J5. Where's J? saw J up here. J. Let's get a J5 off of here. There we go. Okay. Clean all these up. Some of you guys watching, you guys might know, I've recently started implementing a little bit of 3D printing into my builds. And at least so far it's just been car stuff. But I just got myself a brand new 3D printer. I picked up I wanted to be able to print big things. And of course, I want to print with resin. I don't want to use filament. So after about a month's worth of watching YouTube videos and doing research on which one I wanted to use, which one I wanted to buy, I went with an Anycubic Mono M7 Max. And it arrived a couple of days ago. And so I've been trying to do some calibration printing on it to get my resin calibrated for it. And I have not had any success with it so far. Just this. It does the, you can do the multiple resin calibrations at once. So you get multiple exposure rates and all on one plate, and you can't get anything to stick consistently to the plate. This guy doesn't want to go into his holes, so I'm going to open up the two little holes here just a little bit. His pegs don't want to go in the holes, so I'm just going to ream them out a little bit. Getting J5 onto C2, and the holes don't want to, his pegs don't want to go in the holes. I just about broke it here, pressing too hard on it. Using a little too much force. Okay, so now that I've kind of flattened out the arch on this, it doesn't want to fit at all. That's my own fault. I can't blame them on this. So I'm just going to do one side for now. Am I going to do one side? Maybe it's not even going to go in the hole. Okay. So let's grab another pair of tweezers here. I know I've got my other pair sitting here somewhere. Where is my other pair of tweezers? Where did you go? I know you're not in the spot you're supposed to be, which means you're sitting on my desk here somewhere. These are not them, but they'll do for now. Hold this down in the spot while I push this one in. There. Okay. So this guy's glued in now where he belongs. Alright. So, after all that little farting around, I got him in a spot. And I dropped this, and I have to go on a hunt for my other tweezers. I don't know where they are. Okay, so with that done, we got to put E16 on here also. E16 looks like he's got a little bit of flashing. And he's going to go on into these little holes. So we'll see how this fits. He doesn't really want to line up as it just barely does. Okay. And there's E16 in his new home. Okay, there we go. So we'll let this dry. I don't want to put it on there just yet. I'm going to give that a minute to dry here and clean up this C11. This guy's got a little bit of a ejector pin on the back of him. Very, very subtle, but it is sticking out, which is probably going to make this not fit flush. So I'm just going to try and file that down a little bit while retaining our guide pins. We'll see how that looks. So let's grab our hull again. Flip this over. I'm going to install this onto the truck since I need to have this right side up and I don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on my belts. So just kind of put them in there, get them so they droop kind of properly. Pull them out. They have a tendency to want to tuck in, and I don't want them tucked in. I want them laying out. There we go. Okay. So we'll just leave it like this. That way I can have this sitting upright like it's supposed to be. Let's move this guy kind of out of the way. There we go. Okay. So our little triangle is supposed to go right here. And of course this is off camera now, sorry about that. The little triangle is supposed to go right there. So he sits pretty good. Okay. So a little press on there. There we go. Okay, so that was the C18. Now C11 is going to go across the top there. Across behind here. With the tab here going into that slot. So kind of like this. And just act as kind of a, I'm going to say that's a rain guard. That's what I'm calling it. Okay. This thing likes to creak because it's got workable suspension. So every time I push down on it, the suspension travels and it makes it feel like I've got it sitting on something. Okay, I think these guys have been sitting long enough. C2 needs to be put in this little section here. Just like this. There's no pins or anything to guide it, but we don't need them. Just going to add a little bit along the bottom here. There we go. Give it a little bit of a press just to make sure she's flat and flush. Okay, so that's that. So that is on. Where did my E5 go? You know, I think I threw my E5 in the garbage, thinking it was just a little piece of a nub. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to hunt for my E5 now. I'm going to go do a little dumpster diving. Fortunately, I just threw out my garbage recently. That's great. Hopefully it didn't go all the way to the bottom. No, it's sitting right there. Recovered. Wow. I can't believe I did that. Just grab it and throw it away. Maybe I need to make myself another coffee. Big nub on this guy here. Okay, so I gotta look at the orientation of this guy. How's he supposed to go? He does have a pin. Where does he go exactly? It looks, there's a little tiny hole right here. It doesn't go all the way through, but that's gonna be our guide, because he does have a little pin sticking out of him right there. So that is to go down. It's a little hard to figure out the orientation he's supposed to go. It looks like he's supposed to go like this. But where's his little pin? Right there. See, we've got like a rivet or something sticking up too, so we know that he's supposed to... Ah, okay. So because of that rivet, they've got a little notch in them. So that's how it's going to line up. Going to line up just exactly how he's kind of just fallen into his home. Okay, so let me lift this up and show you guys the angle that he's supposed to sit at. I'm just going to press him down to make sure, just like that. Okay, that right there, see him there? That's the angle that he sits at. Okay, that's your E5, okay? So that is everything on here now except our X3 piece of photo etch. And our X3 piece of photo etch is going to go in this little notch right in here, right in there. So let's get the photo etch off of here. Now, this is pretty thick stuff for photo etch. I'm going to use my little photo etch scissors just to get this off of here. There we go. Okay, let's put that aside. Now this is where I really could use my other tweezers. So let's try needle nose pliers. Please hold. Okay. You have to file down the nub on your photo edge. Okay? Otherwise, she ain't gonna fit proper. So I do that till I feel that it's smooth, then I'm done with that. So I got another nub here on the underside. This one might be a little bit harder to do. So you have to go with the direction of the metal, not crosswise. Almost there. Okay, we got it good enough. All right, so let's go back to the instructions, because we have a hole here. That hole is supposed to be at the top. Okay, so because it's photo etch, we can't use regular glue. You got to use some CA glue. So some of my Flexi 5K from VMS, and I'm just going to put a little drop in on there. Maybe I shouldn't. What I'm going to do, I'll put a drop onto my little applicator. There we go. That's much easier to do and much easier to control exactly where it goes on the part. And now put this in. There. Just like that. And I'll take a little bit of an accelerator. I don't like to spray this stuff because it goes everywhere. And I'll just touch on there. There we go. That's that. So there's our little piece of photo etch put in that little spot. Now I want to prevent my nozzle from getting plugged up, so I like to squeeze out any excess that's in the tube, because it will dry in there no matter how much you try and prevent it. It's going to dry inside there. Eventually you're going to have to drill it out. Okay, let's look at our instructions. That's done. So this is step 26 finished now. We can move on to step 27, attaching the glacis armor. So we were attaching exterior armors, now it's the glacis armor. D4, big piece, a big D. And gonna have to drill out a couple of holes in our D. Drilling holes in our D doesn't sound like something that's going to be very much fun. Let's put our truck aside over here. Let's grab a D. First I gotta find my D, and then I can grab my D. Found the D. Okay, so that's D4. That's our big piece here. Okay, anything else? Any further D? No, that's the only D we need. We've got this great big support to get rid of here. Clean up our nubs. Oh, look at that, ejector pins on the underside of this thing. Big ejector pins. That seems to be par for the course with this kit. So I want to make sure these are flush. Last thing I want is ejector pins sitting proud on this thing. There we go. Okay. So while we're at it, looks like we got a little bit of flashing going on here. So we'll just get rid of that. Clean up our nubs here. Make sure they're flat. Looks good. One up here. And one more here. Oh, sorry. One on the inside here. Where our little support bar was. Okay, all our nubs are clean. Now those holes. Let's see, they want the holes drilled, these guys here on the very edge, here, 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 and here. It looks like we've got other ones here, but they're not pointing them out. So I'm guessing those are not supposed to be done. Maybe that's for a different kit or something like that. Because there's nothing, they don't go all the way through. It's only the four on our very edge that they want the holes drilled out. So I gotta find a bit in my pin vise that's going to be a good size here. That one, that bit I have already in there is actually perfect size. So, teaching moment here. Don't put your finger right like this on the other side of it. Okay, all you're going to be doing is asking to drill into your finger, and then you're going to be bleeding everywhere. And you don't want that. So this is what I do. I put my fingers, two fingers, one on either side, like this, so that when it does come through, it goes poke, and it pokes in between my fingers, and I don't stab myself. Okay, but it allows me to put pressure on both sides of it, and so when it pokes through, it just hits there. I didn't poke my finger, and everybody's happy. Okay. See, again, did not stab my finger. Because it's almost impossible to really control the moment that it pokes through. So I got a little bit of burrs I need to clean up on there, but we'll do that after. These ones are like right on the edge. It'll be very easy to accidentally cut right through if your drill bit was too big. It's just a fraction of a millimeter on the edge. A fraction of a millimeter, yeah. Okay, so I need to clean up my burrs a little bit here. So I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and get these burrs off the edge and smoothing out these holes ever so carefully, especially on these two. These happen to be right beside these big rivets. It's going to be interesting what exactly I'm putting on these in these holes. There we go. Okay, so holes are drilled out just like they wanted. All right, those are done. Now let's see. Doesn't look like we're attaching anything to it. We're just going to put it on the truck. A couple of big pegs here to go into these holes, and a third one up here to go into that hole like that. So let's just line this up. We've got this peg sticking out here. Is that supposed to stick out? Oh, yes it is, because we go. I'm trying to put this peg in this hole, but it actually goes way up here, like so. And then these go into theirs, just like that. Okay, so I'm actually going to use a little of my thicker glue. On our pegs here. Now, I went a little heavy-handed and I went into that hole with it. Probably not a good idea. So let's just pull that out. Line this up again. Here we go. Okay. Hold it down for a sec. Okay. So I'm going to have to use my thin glue on the edges to get it to stay down. I'm going to have to hold it for a sec. Put a little pressure on it. One thing to consider, I'm not gluing this thing down, so I don't want to glue or take my glue brush and go along this edge, because it will glue the thing down to the, it'll glue the upper hole down to the lower hole, and I don't want that. I'm just trying to glue the armor piece down. So hold on to this for a sec here. It's going to be interesting when I put the hood on, just how much I have to trim off of these two pieces. This one I know in the center that I'm pointing at there that you can't see because of my other finger. Obviously that's going to be an issue, but looks like she's holding now, except on the front here. I'm going to have to pull this off because we've got something going on here. We're not in our hole. There we go. Now I can go along the bottom edge here with my glue. Our peg wasn't in the hole properly there. Now that looks good, but we've got this, our little piece here is a little doink, doinky, doinky. You need to be glued down, bud. I'm going to put a clamp on here. I don't need anything crazy, but I just want to clamp on there, just so I don't have to keep holding it with my finger. But our little bar going across the top here, I am going to have to, I actually want something a little bit heavier of a clamp. This isn't enough. Something like my fingers are going to hold it nice and tight. These guys probably do pretty good. That holds it pretty good. All right, I'm going to use my quick setting to glue this down. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get in there with any kind of a clamp to really hold it. These are too short to get in there and clamp that. So I'm going to have to hold it with my fingers, like it or not. Unfortunately, holding it is just what I'm going to have to do. Fortunately, the quick setting is just what it says. It sets quick. Unfortunately, the drawback to the quick setting stuff is that it doesn't create as strong a bond because it doesn't melt the plastic as much as the regular stuff. I don't know if blowing on it helps, but it feels like it helps, and that's what matters. That's what matters, is that it feels like it's doing something. Yeah, woohoo. Okay, so that's that. So that's now, it's not sticking up proud anymore. It looks more like it's supposed to. I'm going to take my regular thin and go across the top of it here. Sometimes I find you get it to hold, and then you apply some more glue, and that more glue kind of lets it release again, as it kind of makes it wet, I suppose, is, for lack of a better term, it makes it wet. It's interesting we're not quite lined up here at the top. We're actually sitting on top of this armor piece. I don't think we're supposed to be. Hey, how about that? Isn't it funny how it fits better when you got it in the proper position? It's weird how that works, eh? Okay, so obviously I'm going to have to touch up in a couple of spots, like here and here and here and here, with some paint. I did do a little bit of weathering on the inside also to give our roof a little bit of, an aged look. So, yeah, we got that going on too. Okay, so that's that. Let's put this away. Let's get this back into position so that I can play around with this. Okay, clamp can go back. This clamp can go back. Okay, so going back to this, we got that done. We're done 27 here. So we've got more photo etch and more photo etch, and then we got E, 17, 18, 13, and 22. So let's grab my E tree. Where are you, E? Where's my E? My E, my E, my E. E, me, E, me, E, me, E, me, me, E, me, E, me, E, me. J, 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 E. Here we go. E. 13, 17, and 18, and 22. 13. I'll get these installed, and then I gotta get going. 13. A little rod of some sort. 17 and 18. There's 17. 18. And a 22. Put these on, and then we're gonna do the photo etch next time, okay? You know, this is taking so long with all these little bits that have to go on everywhere. I really should cut my video down. Maybe skip a bunch of parts, and just so that to reduce the amount of episodes I have on my YouTube channel. Just because this kit is so much more detailed than any other tank I've built. With so many more parts. And I mean, yes, I do my channel with the intention that you might be building the same kit, and I want to help you out along. But at the same time, it's like if it's taking forever. Okay, so E18 is going to go down. The two pegs are going to line up under these two holes. Just like so. Okay. Okay, so that's E18 down. E17 is going to go into this little slot here, like this. Okay. And right away I see potential for this piece breaking off in the future. E13 is going to go down, he goes down there. E13 goes right here. Again, another piece that's probably going to break off on me in the future. It's right here in this little indent. Like that. It's hard to say whether it's supposed to go straight up or not. It kind of wants to sit back. They show it in the picture going kind of facing a little bit forward. So that's the angle I'm going to put it at. E22 is supposed to go back into this little spot here. How does he get oriented? It looks like this way. Yeah, he's got a little peg on it, on his bottom. Right there. Where's your peg? Right there in the corner. Right there in the corner. Just like that. Okay, he needs a little more glue. There we go. Okay, so that's those. So we have, that is it for the plastic parts. The other two parts we got to do W. Grab our W. This was X. We need our photo etch W sheet. Photo etch W. W8 is this big guy right here. He's going to go right there on top of this. Okay, just like so. And then W9 is this guy right here. And it looks like he's actually going to be bent so that he goes down over top of this right here. We're gonna have to do that next time though, okay? Because I've got to get going. Which means this is where I'm gonna call it for the day. Alright guys, so I've got to leave this and let these dry. I'll get these photo etch pieces taken off of here. I'll get those ready to install next time, okay? So that next time when we come in, we just go bing bing and they're done, and then we can move on to the next step, which would be the driver's hatch and vision enhancer assembly. That will be next time, okay? So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for the support. Thank you for the new subscribers. By the way, if you haven't subscribed already, I ask that you hit the subscribe button down below. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps out my channel quite a bit. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for joining me on this long journey with this little tank. Thanks again, guys, for everything. And seeing as it is New Year's Eve, Happy New Year's to everyone out there. Thank you again for the support. And we'll see you all in the next one and the new year.